So
It was weird.
It's weird.
It's weird, and it doesn't seem like it's ever going to bounce back. And if he wins again, Jesus Louises, what is going to happen?
I don't know what's going to happen next year. I mean, he could be in prison. There's a real chance he could be in prison and win. I don't know what that looks like.
Bananas. If he goes to jail for the crimes that they're accusing him of, how long are we talking about for this?
Well, the Georgia stuff, he could do 20 years.
Oh, my goodness.
I mean,
imagine he's covered. He's covered in the country from his cell block. Would they allow him to have like access to phones and shit?
Oh, I think he'd have to be the president. I mean, I think there'd be enormous pressure to let him out under those circumstances.
And then put him back in once he gets out.
That's a great question. I mean, it's unthinkable. Now, the federal stuff he could pardon himself for. It seems pretty clear.
He can pardon himself?
There's a debate about this, but he could also direct the Justice Department to drop the prosecutions. But the state stuff, he can't. Right. State stuff he doesn't control, so it's crazy. And I've increasingly concluded that it was a huge mistake to indict him. They should have presented the information and because this is a political issue, not a legal issue. The political issue is, does the country want him as president? If it wants him as president, it'd be different. Okay, if you said he murdered somebody or he committed espionage, this is all. I mean, nobody really is accusing him of crimes like that. So the idea that he might be in jail and the country might have to vote in an election where one of the candidates is in prison is crazy.
I was listening to a conversation that Dennis Prager had, and I forget who he was talking to. Oh, David Pakman, and they're having a conversation about the election. And one of the things that Prager said that I thought was really interesting, like if you knew that Hitler was an incredibly evil person and you knew that you could stop this person from getting into power by manipulating the election, it would be your moral imperative to do so. And that a lot of people viewed Trump like that.
That's right.
That's a real thing. And I think they do right now. Like, if the will of the people is that he becomes president, the rest of the people that don't agree with that will go into a fucking fury. A fury.
Yes.
If he becomes president again, like, God, what is going to happen?
No, it'll be terrible. But if he's in jail and can't campaign, his supporters are going to think it's terrible.
Yeah.
They're going to think it's unfair that way.
The whole thing from top to bottom is just fucking bonkers. It's bonkers.
And
all the scenarios are bonkers. President Kamala.
I can't stand him. And people, I lose Substack views whenever I say it, but I don't like Donald Trump. But I do think that the way the left is behaving towards him is not wise.
Yeah, it's like telling someone to shut the fuck up. You ever tell someone to shut the fuck up? They don't want to shut the fuck up. The only reason why they shut the fuck up or you tell them to shut the fuck up is like a threat of violence. That's right. Or if they realize they really fucked up and they just like take a moment of reflection. But most of the time, you tell people to shut the fuck up, they're like, you shut the fuck up.
That's right.
They get mad. It doesn't work. It's like when you think you can just hit somebody because you saw it in a movie. No, they're going to hit you back. That's right. They might beat the fuck out of you. They might wait for you after school one day and kick your ass. They're not going to just take it. Like, people don't just – when you do something like that where you just try to silence your opponent and try to jail your opponent on what some people think are trumped-up charges, no pun intended, that makes people furious. And it emboldens and empowers the other side, unfortunately. That's just how it goes. It's like what we're talking about, the DEI stuff. Yep. It's like you force stuff down people's throats and they get angry at it. Like, this is the fuck out of here with this.
Yep. And when you make people take vaccines, they get angry.
They get angry. And it emboldens them, and it enforces their idea that other people are out to get them. And that's real dangerous. It's real dangerous when we think like that. It's real dangerous. And we got to be very careful. We got to be very careful about that because we don't want a fucking civil war. And I just think we're almost like at this point where there's parts of one side that hate parts of the other side so much.
Both sides, it's true of.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why I didn't pick a left or a right. Yeah. It's like it's both sides. It's like there's evil on the right, there's evil on the left. It's just humans. It's humans in groups. You get enough of us together in a group, certain percentage are just going to be fucking assholes.
So what do you think is going to happen? A year from now, 1 year from now, we'll be right up to the election.
Yeah, I don't know, and I'm not happy. It's like, I don't know. I'm also. It's like fascinating watching RFK Jr. not get Secret Service protection.
Yeah, that's weird. It's weird.
It's gross. Like, how is that even a thing that they
Hunter
can deny
Biden
him?
gets it and he doesn't?
How could they deny him that?
Yeah.
I mean, and then there was some guy who showed up heavily armed and pretended he was on a security detail, just a nutter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, not good. None of it's good. It's not good. It's like, but you see these power struggles and you see these power dynamics, and it just doesn't take into account. It's like concentrating on short-term victory, right? Short-term victories win the election at all costs. But it's not looking at the big picture of the future of the nation if you choose to bend the rules. Because it's like the rules are the reason why we're great. It's a big part of why this is such an amazing place, is the freedom of speech. And if you're going to social media companies and you're the government and you're having them release or delete things that are accurate, that's not good for the nation. It's not good for all of us. It's not good for human beings as a whole. It's not good for the country that you live in as a person doing that, making that decision. No. It's not good for all of us.
Well, you're not going to have to convince me of this, right? I mean,
obviously.
So, but I mean, look, my case, it's at an earlier. There's two big cases. There's my case and there's Missouri v. Biden, which is so Missouri, the state of Missouri and the state of Louisiana sued, over social media censorship. And they did that in the Western District of Louisiana, and they got a favorable ruling in July. And then the Fifth Circuit, which is just one level below the Supreme Court, it's several states in the South, basically upheld that ruling it was about 10 days ago. And now the Biden administration has appealed to the Supreme Court. And what the Fifth Circuit has said is, we don't want senior officials in the Biden administration, including the same people who I've sued, talking to social media companies and trying to pressure them when they've gone too far. And here's what's really interesting about this, Joe, because so what the Biden administration says is, we're not forcing anything. We're not making explicit threats against anybody. We're just saying this is what we think should be on your platforms, and this is dangerous to let people talk about the problems with the vaccines because it discourages people from getting vaccinated. That's dangerous to them. We don't like that.
Right.
And, famously, Biden said in July 2021, you're killing people. Those were his words. The platforms are killing people by allowing people like me to talk about problems or potential problems with the vaccines. Okay. Now, from my point of view, I've basically been proven right in terms of most of the concerns that I raised. Now, we could argue about that, but the truth is it doesn't matter whether I was right or wrong. I'm an American. I have the right to express myself, and Twitter was my platform to do that.